what is it? March 13th, Port Orchard City Council regular business meeting. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have a lot on the consent agenda and this evening, but we do have the two excusals already on the consent agenda. So are there any modifications to this evening's agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item 4E off consent and make it item 7I
Okay,
under business.
all right.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay, well, do we need to vote on moving that, or is it just part of the approval? Okay, so
I believe we do.
there was a motion to move item 4E to the business item 7I. I put 7I. And is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been moved.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, you may.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. Any other discussions of the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda has been approved. We're to citizen comments. Jerry, you're it. Not tonight? All right. All right, we'll come back to you again. All right, we're to the consent agenda. Mr. Clausen.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. We have no presentations, we have no public hearing. We are to item 7A, which is approval of the 2018 Comprehensive Plan Amendment Agenda. Mr. Bond.
Thank you. Pursuant to the Comprehensive Plan Amendment Regulations in Port Orchard Municipal Code Section 20.04, the Community Development Director has initiated the process for the 2018 amendments to the Comprehensive Plan. As required by POMC 20.04, the Director has compiled a recommended Comprehensive Plan Amendment Agenda based on the preliminary evaluation of the need, urgency, and appropriateness of the suggested amendments, as well as the staff and budget availability to accommodate the public review process. The amendments that have been submitted include both site-specific amendments to the land use map as well as text amendments to the plan. We've provided maps showing the different areas where amendments are proposed. One area is on Crawford Road East, including 15 parcels changing from commercial to residential low 4.5. There's another amendment on Old Clifton Road to change about 12.5 acres from urban industrial employment to residential high, R20. And then finally, an amendment was submitted by a private group for the Overlook Apartments Phase 2 project, requesting a change of 7 undeveloped parcels totaling 3.5 acres from residential medium to residential high. The text amendments include amendments to the Secure Street Plan, adoption of a Bethel-Sedgwick Corridor right-of-way acquisition plan, which will be added to Appendix B, and then the addition of the Rockwell Pocket Park and Waterfront Park expansion to Chapters 4 and 9 of the Parks Plan, and Appendix B as well to reflect updates to the Parks Plan. Finally, the I think that appears twice. Anyway, so the recommendation is to approve the 2018 Comprehensive Plan Update Preliminary Agenda and to send that to the Planning Commission to begin review and conduct public hearings.
So, Mayor, I move to approve the 2018 Comprehensive Plan Amendment Agenda as presented.
Second. Motion and a second. Discussion of any of these amendments? Stephen?
Just a quick question for Director Bond.
Did we get any feedback from the residents on Crawford Road?
They will be notified once this is adopted, so that the notice has not gone out yet.
Park amendment, we had in our park comprehensive plan a item called waterfront parks. It just wasn't as defined when we did the previous plan to now. And so I think this is more, we've got some money, we've got dollars now. We know what it's, reasonably gonna cost. We have some funding, we've got some money from the legislature for the Rockwell Pocket Park, but not for the second park on the waterfront yet. So, Mark's in the process of, getting a consultant hired to finish that 30% design we have. Other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the 2018 Comprehensive Plan Amendment Agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the plan is approved, or the agenda is approved. We are to 7B, adoption of an ordinance adopting proposed changes to Title 20 Unified Development Code of the Port Orchard Municipal Code. Mr. Bond.
Yes. In June 2017, the City Council adopted a new Unified Land Use and Development Code under Title 20. Since the adoption of Title 20, we've docketed minor errors and omissions, as well as identifying several updates that are necessary for consistency with state law and other codes. We've provided a matrix showing the proposed changes, and in each instance it talks about what changes made and what the reason for that is. The next item on the agenda deals with the repeal of Title 17, which we actually moved into Title 20, but then did not repeal the existing Title 17, so it appears now twice in the code, and so that will be taken as a separate item because it's in a separate title. But both of those items went through the Planning Commission review as one, as well as through SEPA review as one item, and then were split apart at the direction of the clerk's office. So the staff recommendation is that the City Council vote to approve the ordinance adopting the proposed changes to Title 20 as presented.
Yes, Mr. Diener.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt an ordinance adopting the proposed changes to Title 20.
Second.
A motion and a second. Questions for Mr. Bond about the changes to Title 20? Okay, pretty straightforward. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We are to item 7C, is adoption of an ordinance repealing Title 17 Mobile Home Parks of the Port Orchard Municipal Code. Mr. Bond?
This item is a continuation of the previous item. As I mentioned, Title 17 and the mobile home section under Title 20 now appear twice in our code, so this ordinance would simply remove the mobile home regulations from Title 17. There's no substantive change associated with this. So the recommendation is to approve an ordinance to repeal Title 17, and I realize the staff report says repeal Title 20. We want to repeal 17. Thank you.
Councilmember Chang.
I move to adopt an ordinance repealing Title 17 of the Port Orchard Municipal Code.
Second.
A motion and a second. Questions about Title 17 repealing?
Was there any testimony at the Planning Commission about this?
Not on either of these items.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Diener?
Could I get just a 30-second rundown on what the approval process is for a mobile home park?
So mobile homes, there's actually in our code currently a mobile home zoning district. And so existing mobile home parks are zoned for mobile home use. New mobile home parks would require a rezone to change property to allow a future or a new mobile home to get placed within the city. This is something that's getting overhauled as part of our other zoning code update, but these are just sort of legacy standards that we have that are probably 40 years old.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, you'll be voting on adoption of an ordinance repealing Title 17 Mobile Home Parks of the Port Orchard Municipal Code. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We are to item D, adoption of a resolution adopting the final plat of Eldon Trails, Division 4, McCormick Woods, Phase 5. Mr. Bond.
Thank you. Before you tonight is the final plat of Division 4 of McCormick Woods, Phase 5. The original hearing examiner decision for McCormick Woods Phase 5 was approved in July 26th of 2007. A SEPA MDNS was issued on February 17th, 2012. Division 4 of Eldon Trails creates 47 single-family residential lots and 3 tracks. The applicant has installed or bonded for roadway illumination, roads, sidewalks, landscaping, water and sewer, and storm drainage improvements. Streets within this final plat are for public use and will be accepted into the road system. The recommendation is adoption of a resolution granting approval of the final plat of Eldon Trails Division 4.
A lot of maps and things like this.
And this, just for your information, this Division 4 Parcel D was a 4-phase final plat, and so this is the 4th and final phase of the 172 lots that were part of Parcel D.
Councilmember Clausen?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution as presented granting final plat approval for Eldon Trails Division 4.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions for Mr. Bond?
Just an observation that if you look at page 169, it shows that your lots are around 5,000 square feet or so, which is, I think, a good indicator for more affordable housing in that area.
I think we're gonna do more for affordable housing and some of the code changes we're gonna make than we are out at McCormick Woods. I think it's much needed housing stock, but, they aren't inexpensive homes, that's for sure. But they're very, very nice quality homes, so. Yes.
Mayor, I had a question on these. These are the, when we were talking about sewer hookups and the number that we had left that we could accommodate, this was part of
Yes.
these inclusive
Well,
in that?
To this, there is not, with the current infrastructure, these lots.
Okay,
don't
that's what I
have-
was wondering.
Do not have enough, there isn't enough sewer. We've got plans last Friday for the improvements that the developer is permitting for future sewer improvements.
Okay, so we'll see that later.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You may or may not see that later. That may just happen administratively
yeah.
as far as building the sewer facility. There could be an agreement that comes before the council on, we're still not in agreement on what the cost share on that is. Because we have an existing infrastructure there that's being replaced. Some of it is our responsibility and some of it is meeting their needs, so. But more to come on that.
I was talking more about capacity as capacity starts moving west and on our existing infrastructure, what would be, we'd have an idea of that, what that would be coming out.
More to come.
Yep.
I just have a question. I guess for this engineer, Mr. Dorsey, some of these lots are really close to Old Clifton Road, but there's no access directly from Old Clifton. It's all through St. Andrew. It's all internal. Okay, because I know that people can see it from their homes.
There is an
A sewer
access
easement or
road
something?
and a gate for fire service.
Okay.
Only. I think that's activated by Opticom. So it's so that the fire department can get it out of there quickly without having to travel through the entire subdivision.
That makes sense, because I got asked that a lot, as you did too,
Yeah,
probably.
there's actually a very strong rumor right now that that road will be opened. It's a rumor, I'm just telling you that it's a very strong one.
And rumor it is.
It is.
I don't believe, Mr. Dorsey, there's any plans to open that road.
No, it's actually a condition to not, it's specific for secondary access only. It would take a plat amendment, which wouldn't be approved. And nobody in the plat would support it, take 100% vote to amend the plat.
Of the homeowners?
Yeah, so it's
Could
not
they
gonna
make it a
happen.
toll road?
This is one of those never say never, and you can count on it.
That one's never. 100% agreement. Okay, other questions? All right, be voting on the adoption of a resolution adopting the final plat of Eldon Trails Division 4, McCormick Woods, Phase 5. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? none, the plat is approved. We are to item 7E, approval to purchase holiday decorations, garland and bows for hanging along Bay Street. Clerk Reinerson isn't here, so we have our Clerk Floyd this evening.
All right, good evening. The Festival of Chimes and Lights Committee has been discussing the purchase of new holiday decorations for the last several years. Sorry. The current garland that hangs above Bay Street was purchased in 2010 and is showing signs of wear. Council approved $7,000 for new garland and wreaths in the 2017-2018 biennial budget. During the January 16, 2018 work study meeting, City Clerk Reinerson spoke to the council about the estimated cost to purchase new garland, indicating the cost may exceed the budgeted amount. Staff was directed to move forward with procuring the purchase of new garland and bring back to the council for consideration. I'm sorry. It was noted that the city would need to follow the request for proposals RFP process, as the amount may exceed the $7,000 threshold. At the January 22nd, 2018 Chimes and Lights Committee meeting, staff was asked to contact holiday decoration vendors for samples. On February 7th, 2018, Chair Lucarelli and staff met to review the samples and develop the criteria of the RFP. On February 16, 2018, the clerk's office posted and advertised the RFP on the city's website, the Port Orchard Independent, and emailed several holiday vendors. Their RFPs were due by 4 p.m. on Monday, March 12, 2018. By the 4 p.m. deadline, the city received 5 sealed bids and opened 4 sealed bids, as one vendor requested to have their bid disregarded as they submitted an incorrect bid and would not be submitting another bid as they did not have the garland the city was seeking. The bids received were as follows. Street Decor Inc., $7,805.40, sales tax not included. I think it's DeJulio Displays, $8,795, sales tax not included. Temple Display, $9,690, sales tax not included. Decra Light Industries, $11,067.57, sales tax not included. And Mosca Designs was the one that they requested to have it disregarded. So recommendation, staff recommends awarding the holiday decoration bid to Street Decor, as they are the lowest responsive bidder. And with this, as council approved the $7,000 in the biennial budget, there would need to be an additional amount of, with the, the total of additional $1,507.89 for a budget amendments.
Councilmember Lucarelli?
I move to award Street Decor Inc. for the purchase of holiday decorations in an amount not to exceed $7,805.40 plus any applicable taxes.
Second it.
Motion and a second to approve the holiday light decoration, or holiday decorations. And we have a sample here. Everybody didn't see it, so.
It's just beautiful quality. I know it's going to be a real asset to the city, and it will be lit.
This piece isn't lit, but it has LED lighting, and I do think we got a great deal. And we're going to be able to replace all of the garlands.
That'd be nice.
Yes. So I'm very happy about this.
Cindy's very happy.
I know it. It's perfect.
Do you know how many feet we're getting? Is it like 1,000 linear feet, or how do they measure it?
I don't remember.
It's-
Whatever,
It's replacing in
A bunch,
kind what we
a bunch of
already-
garlands.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's replacing in kind what we currently do on Bay Street.
Right.
All right.
So
wait,
nice.
Other questions about the garland? All right, hearing none, you'll be voting to approve the purchase of holiday decorations and garland. It is the, actually, staff report that was placed on the dais because we didn't open the bids until Monday. And also for $7,805.40. And we will need to do a budget amendment that will run through the finance committee for roughly $1,500 to come up with the additional money to pay for this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We are to 7F, approval for the mayor to send a letter to Puget Sound Regional Coordinating Council regarding the update to the 2040 vision. Mr. Bond.
Thank you. Before you tonight, I've presented a draft letter to PSRC concerning the Vision 2050 scoping notice that we received. comments on this notice are due on March 19th. That's next Monday. And we've obviously been discussing this for the past 2 meetings, as well as at the Land Use Committee meeting. And so I've tried to capture as many comments as I can, as I've had from all of you, to put together a letter. And I had initially prepared just kind of an outline of a letter that was the basis of our discussion. So at this point, we have a letter. If you want to send the letter, you can send the letter. If you don't want to send a letter, you don't have to send a letter. And if you want to make amendments to what I've written, I'm happy to make those changes, although we're running out of time to do anything substantial. So I recommend that you discuss this and make the decision on how to proceed.
So the letter in reference, for those of us that on electronic devices, is on page 197. A lot of document ahead of that.
I will say that after attending the planning director's meeting at KRCC last Thursday, this council is probably the most engaged in the county on this, aside from maybe the county commissioner's office. I think the other cities haven't really been able to get into the level of detail that we are in, and so good work.
KRCC is also working on a joint letter for the county-wide. Some of the issues, has some of our points into it also, but the other jurisdictions have other concerns too. Bainbridge Island in particular has some concerns about water aquifer recharge, and so I've pushed back a little bit on that. The language they wanted, and basically it says something to the effect that some communities in Kitsap County have concerns with aquifer recharge, because I don't believe we have a USGS report that says our aquifers are fine here in Port Orchard, and that's why we're able to drill the 2 deep aquifer wells that we are. So, so there's been some wrangling going on with that. So there's a separate letter that the KRCC is going to send. I'm going to a special meeting on Thursday for that letter, as we continue to draft that letter. But I think Mr. Bond has done an excellent job on this. He's worked with Beck and I extensively to come up with this draft letter. Other questions or comments about the letter, or things you think we might have missed?
Actually, I was going to make a motion.
Okay.
So I move to recommend that the mayor send the attached comment letter to PSRC as drafted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send the letter as drafted to PSRC. Further discussion?
Mayor, just under comment, I think the letter was very well done. Thank you.
Really well done.
And like I say, Mr. Bond has been providing, I would say, most of the dialogue over at KRCC. Louisa also, but from the county. But so hats off to Mr. Bond. All in favor of this sending this letter, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We'll get the letter out. Okay, we are to 7G, approval of the February 20th, 2018 council work study minutes. I believe I'll have an abstention by Councilmember Diener and Councilmember Lucarelli.
No. As a matter of fact, I actually reviewed the tape,
You're more than welcome to
and
vote.
I feel that the minutes accurately reflect what took place.
So is there a motion to approve? Councilmember Chang?
I move approval of the work study session meeting minutes of February 20th, 2018.
Second?
Motion is second to approve the February 20th council meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Okay. We are to the approval of the February 27th council meeting minutes. I think Mr. Clausen may
Yes, I will be abstaining.
abstain. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Member Lucarelli?
I move to approve the council minutes from February 27th.
Second.
And a second. All in favor of approval of the February 27th council meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And one abstention, Mr. Clausen. Okay, we are to our last business item, which is 7I, which was formerly 4E, which is approval of an agreement to document the city's consent to C&M Golf LLC, assignment of its rights and obligation to Oppenheimer Ventures 8 LLC for the use of Well 4B water rights. Ms. Cates.
Thank you. In April 2014, the city entered into an agreement regarding use of Well 4B water rights with C&M Golf LLC. Section 7 of the agreement authorizes C&M Golf to assign or transfer its rights and obligations under the agreement to a third-party purchaser of the McCormick Woods Golf Course with the city's consent. That particular section says C&M Golf's right to assign or transfer its rights and obligations under this agreement shall be limited to a third-party purchaser of the golf course, and the assignment or transfer shall be subject to the city's consent, which consent shall not be unreasonably withheld. In January 2018, Oppenheimer Ventures 8 LLC purchased McCormick Woods Golf Course, and the parties to that purchase have drafted a document to transfer C&M Golf's rights and obligations under the agreement to Oppenheimer Ventures. This document also includes a consent to assignment section with a place for the mayor's signature to document the city's consent to this assignment. The city has no reason to object to the assignment of C&M Golf's rights and obligations under the agreement to Oppenheimer Ventures. So the staff recommends authorizing the mayor to sign the assignment form as presented.
Councilmember Clausen.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the assignment form to document the city's consent to C&M Golf LLC assignment of its rights and obligation under the agreement regarding use of Well 4B water rights to Oppenheimer Ventures 8 LLC as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Chang?
I have a question which I briefly gave the city attorney a heads up, a very brief heads up. Looking through this, I understand that we're basically reassigning, or we're allowing C&M to reassign the rights to a new third party. I have no problem with that. I was just trying to understand the amount of water that we were allowing them to withdraw. For example, on page 49, recital C, it looked like originally McCormick Water retained the right to withdraw 56.1 million gallons. I thought, okay, so that's that figure there. And as I was looking through the pages, if you skip to page 51, where it talks about perpetual water usage by C&M Golf, it says they have the perpetual right to withdraw up to 225 acre feet. And so I was just curious, what's the comparison between 56.1 million and 225 acre feet? I assume they would be very close, and they don't seem to be close, at least from my looking. So I was wondering, what is the evolution of the amount that they're allowed to withdraw?
There is no evolution, and
Okay.
it has no bearing on what we're doing here tonight.
Okay.
We're transferring the right for the agreement. We haven't modified or changed the agreement at all.
Right. I mean, the simple answer is that there are two different values, and you're trying to compare an apple and an orange, basically. You have withdrawal amounts that are in gallons per minute that are the actual source production. Water rights are measured in acre feet. And so acre feet is a volume, a gallon per minute is a volume over time. And so you have a conversion of 43,560 square feet in 1 acre, and then there's 7.48 gallons per cubic foot. So that's how you get from a gallons to acre feet. They're both volumes. It's just that water rights are measured in acre feet. And so, like what they talk about on the top of page 50, where they're not going to exceed 645 acre feet. So that's based on the water right for well 4B, whereas the 3528 is the acre feet of the entire city system. So again, we're not changing anything that had previously been agreed to. You're talking about just two different descriptors. And, one is a water rights descriptor, the other one is an actual measurable value, because we have a meter on that wellhead, and we can measure the amount of gallons over that time period. You can't measure
The
acres.
request isn't to change the agreement. The request is to change the ownership of the
Sure.
company.
No, I understand that. I was just looking at the numbers, and they didn't match up as neatly as I thought they might doing a conversion. If you do 225 acre feet times 385,000 gallons, I'm thinking that resulting number is not anywhere near 56.1 million. which is what I expected, but I certainly accept your explanation.
I mean, yeah.
Other questions? Hearing none, you'll be voting on approval of an agreement to document the city's consent to CNM Golf LLC's assignment of its rights and obligation to Oppenheimer Ventures 8 LLC for the use of the Well 4B water rights. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We are done with our business items. Council committee reports. Finance Committee, I believe your meeting date has been set. It says to be determined on the agenda, but I think we determined that date. I think it's next week, or possibly the week after. I'm looking, 23rd. It is next Friday at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah, April 2.
Yes.
And you haven't met since to have a report, but that's when the next meeting is. Economic Development and Tourism, I'm not sure that they've met. Nope. And Utility Committee is meeting next week. Sewer Advisory Committee, there isn't, haven't met, but I did get an email today from Michael Wilson from West Sound Utility, and previously in the budget, there was $1.5 million, there was funds budgeted to replace the membranes at the sewer plant. We previously approved that budget, and he just let us know that today that they purchased $1.4 million worth of membranes to replace the aging membranes in the sewer plant. So just giving you a heads up there that that work's underway. Sewer Advisory Land Use, is there anything to report there? I'm not sure you've met either.
We met last week, but.
Was it
I don't
last
have-
week?
Yeah, we
Okay.
didn't have the minutes, and Scott chaired it in your absence. I was there.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
That's right, I was late to that
Sean.
meeting, yeah.
And Beck was in place of you.
So I recall Puppy Mills was on the agenda. What else was on that agenda? I know I can't remember. It was last week. We'll wait for
Maybe
the
I think the comp plan.
the comp
docket.
plan was on there.
Final scoping on the PSRC.
Yeah, that's right, the PSRC letter. And as far as the puppy mills, the committee recommended that an ordinance be brought to work study, and so that'll be on the agenda next week.
Okay, for the work study.
There was also one member that wanted a separate town hall on the issue, but the others of us felt that, I'm sorry, I don't know what my phone's doing. Felt that it could be included in a regular council meeting, maybe just as the hearing. We did not need a separate town hall just for that issue.
Okay, well, we'll hammer that out at the work study, what direction, whether it goes to a town hall meeting or directly to a council meeting to be adopted.
Just for clarification, a town hall meeting just on puppy mills?
That was what Beck wanted.
Well, we've been talking about potentially an April
A bigger, right?
town hall meeting potentially for the plastic bag issues. I'm waiting for the Chamber of Commerce to get back to me with some representative from the grocery industry. I've got some folks that would like to see them banned, but I would like to have a discussion about it. I think what Councilmember Ashby was referring to, if we were gonna have that town hall meeting, that we had maybe potentially more than one topic at it, and if we don't take action prior to that town hall meeting on puppy mills, that maybe it'd be included in that, so. But I'm speaking for someone who isn't here and what her intent was, so we'll figure it out next Tuesday. Lodging tax, the chair is gone. I don't think they've had any meeting, and Chimes and Lights is very happy right now because they have new garland.
A meeting next week, Monday, 3:30 here.
Perfect. And we have our retreat scheduled for May 18th, and I'm working with Sophie on an agenda. And so now I am to the mayor's report. A couple things here. The Community Day of Service, I've been passing out flyers about that. I know a couple of you can't make it, but I hope to see most of us there. So we have a beach cleanup down in Annapolis. The cleanup of the empty lot between the Bistro and the Dragonfly, Kathleen Wilson's gonna lead that. Zach Holt, our stormwater utility manager, will lead the beach cleanup. I plan to go to at least start at Clayton Park. We're gonna do topsoil there again. We were woefully short of materials last year, so we're gonna try that again to overseed the park. Jennifer Hardison and her staff up at Helpline have a little project with the area where they grow vegetables, I believe is what they're gonna do, prepare the soil there. Tom Adams from the school district has some projects at Sidney Glen Elementary. And I hope to see a good turnout of Rotarians at Etta Turner Park and the West Bay Shopping Center. They're doing Beauty Bark is primarily what's gonna happen at that site. So, hope to see you there. Bring your gloves.
What's the
And
date, Mayor?
It is on April 7th, and we're gonna start an hour earlier because the Latter-day Saints seem to start early. They had all the work done before we got there. Last year, we started at 10 and showed up and there was no materials left to spread. So we're gonna start at 9 and see if we can't get there closer to when they get there, so. Opportunity zones, there's more on that. Commerce finally came out with some formal guidance and a formal application. You guys, last council meeting said, go forth and apply for that. What we've learned since then is the county is guaranteed 2 zones, and we've been working to try to get one of those guaranteed zones for our downtown. The county needs to write a letter of support to the county, that starts with the county going to KEDA, and KEDA is actually the applicant. So I've been working to get our downtown, and hopefully it's Bremerton's downtown, there's 5 eligible zones. Bremerton has 3, we have 2. So I'm trying to get our guaranteed zone to be our downtown, one of the 2, and then we will pursue the second zone in the competitive process. But previously, I thought it was gonna be, we were only gonna have an opportunity to compete competitively for 1 zone. So I'll wait and see to make sure that we get the guaranteed, because if we don't get the guaranteed, then we're gonna apply competitively for downtown. But if we can get downtown, then we'll apply for the zone that goes up Mile Hill is the second zone. So yes, Mr. Diener?
So is it an equal share of funding then that's split between the 2?
There is no funding, and just because you get a designation doesn't mean you'll get investors to invest in project. It is an investment tool, a tool to allow investors a tax break, federal tax break, to invest in your community.
Okay.
So we don't get a pool of dollars. And that's, Bremerton's trying to get more than one of these as the guaranteed, and we're trying to convince them is just because you have a zone doesn't mean you're gonna get dollars. I think we've got property tax abatement downtown, we've got the MUP, we're doing things to incent activity. And we've got one interested project, and I hope if we can get this tool in place, it will make it so that potentially more people would want to invest in a potential project. And so the 1 zone is primarily our downtown, and it actually heads up into as far as Forest Park. So it could be, a housing redevelopment up in Forest Park that piques someone's interest. It isn't just, it's a census tract that's our downtown. So more to come on that. The deadline is the 23rd, I believe. And we should know next week whether or not we're gonna be, whether KEDA is gonna support our position. I believe the county has. AWC, Councilmember Stern is on that board representing District 12, which is us and kind of Southwest Washington, and in the peninsula. So his board position on the Association of Washington City is up for election, and I have submitted my name. So there's a process to go. I'll go to the conference in Yakima in June, I believe it is, and I'll be interviewed there. And then there's at least one other person that has submitted their name. The deadline, I think, is next week to submit an application. I saw Nick and I and Mark sat in on a proposal with the county's consultant on their new courthouse. It's pretty exciting that the county's going through a process to plan for a new courthouse. And I think we're very supportive of that as a city and want to be a partner in that. What we're discussing internally is some sort of a master plan process for that campus up there. We also, Deb Howard for me, I don't know how many years in a row we've won this. We won a Well City Award. And let's see here. The KRCC, or federal grants, Kitsap Transit is applying for a grant for park and ride on our dump site. Remember, we had the survey work to determine where that dump is. Mr. Clausen assures me they're going to pay us top dollar for that dump. And, no, they have no interest in buying our dump, but we will make them a reasonable lease on that site that we can't do anything else with, but cap it with a piece of blacktop is a good solution. It's right at the entrance to the industrial park, close to the freeway, and it's a great location for a park and ride lot. So Kitsap Transit is pursuing a grant for that. Yeah, are you, Mr. Clausen?
I'm not going to speak too much on it because I obviously have two hats, but one of the things the city might consider is just partnering in the development.
Yes, and that was what I was seeing.
Make the application look even better.
Yes, that we're intending, that Mark was on the phone today with Stephanie, that we will be a joint applicant for that, so we'll bring that back. So I think it scores better if we join in that application. Our grant for our application, we're only going to pursue one project for planning dollars at the KRCC process, and we're calling it Bay Street Path West. It'll take us from the ferry terminal heading west along the waterfront and go up the boulevard and connect our existing pathway to the Tremont project. So to plan for that. No design dollars, because the design dollars start the clock ticking. Planning dollars don't. So.
Great idea.
Yep. So that is that is the mayor's report. Department heads, Mr. Dorsey.
A few milestones and a confirmation. Bay Street pedestrian pathway, that opens on the 26th. Friday is the pre-bid, so fingers crossed we get good bids on that. Well 9 and McCormick Park both had to go back out to ad again, but there will be reopening on the 30th. So I'm hoping that at the end of the day, that everybody saw where everybody was at, we're going to benefit. You know, somebody's going to be hungry, so they'll sharpen their pencil. And then I just wanted to, I did the math and for Councilman Ching, 645 acre feet is exactly 400 gallons per minute. So and I'll share the math with you a bit. I just want to make sure those equate.
But it took an engineer. Okay. It's been a while.
Nothing tonight.
Okay.
Nothing tonight.
Nothing tonight? Ms. Gates?
Nothing for me tonight either.
Okay. Ms. Floyd filling in for Clerk Reinerson.
Not too much, just the KEDA annual meeting. If you are attending, just don't forget to let us know so we can register you for that event. And then the AWC annual conference is coming up in June, so I've sent out, I think, a couple emails. So just again, if you want to attend, let us know and we can register you and get you a hotel if you'd like to stay. And last thing, it's Michelle's birthday today, so I just wanted to say happy birthday, Michelle. Thank you for coming tonight, and that's all. Thank you. No
We're
singing,
not
no.
going to sing. She got a potluck today.
It was fantastic.
So yes, Beck and I have already registered for the AWC conference. We'd love to have some company over there. It's in Yakima in June, and there's always something to learn there. I've enjoyed the last two I've gone to. We are where are we at on the agenda?
11,
There we go, citizen comments, 11. Thank you. Jerry?
When I came down to some meeting, it was on for the downtown and how the codes are changing. And I noticed that Kitsap Street is mixed use now, but I don't think it ever was. And it seems like if you're changing, I think, it's not Pottery, out here on the street, that when they were gonna put the library and things, you know, they were trying to get the library, that was as far up as we went. So without any of us knowing, how did Kitsap become a mixed use when we weren't sent any notices about hearings or anything on it?
I think it was on the one side, wasn't it, Nick? I don't think we've changed.
Talking about the storefront designation, are they designations of the street frontage type in the design guidelines, which we changed from mixed to varied to avoid confusion about whether it was a zoning issue or a design issue. So this has to do with building design, not with the actual use or zoning of the property.
Okay, because it was just on one of the maps that we were looking at when we were walking around.
We asked to have that word changed to varied.
Oh,
Councilwoman Ashby went to the same.
Come to the same conclusion that
It was a
it's zoning,
mixed-
and which isn't, zoning is different than what we were trying to accomplish with the design standards, which is your frontage treatments.
okay, but then if the design standards say that you could have mixed use there, isn't that a part of zoning?
It's not a mixed use, it's a mixed type of product.
It means that the buildings can come closer to the street or be landscaped and set back from the street. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So there's three primary designations. There's a storefront setback, which allows a building to come close to the sidewalk. There's a landscape setback that requires a landscape buffer between the sidewalk and the building. And then the varied allows for a mix of both of those things to occur. And so when you're going up Kitsap here, you have a lot of garages that come right out to the sidewalk because they're built into the hillside, or so it allows for that sort of design to continue.
I just thought that we were all residential on Kitsap, and I'm having
It
a
still
sim-
is.
It is,
Yeah.
but you can have mixed use and residential.
It's not mixed use. It's a varied street frontage
Yeah,
setback.
mixed use is a zoning term.
Right.
This was a building setback term, not a zoning term.
Okay, I guess I'm still on the heights, that the height on Kitsap Street was less than if you went down to, somebody help me, what's the name of the street out here? Prospect, okay. That, on Prospect, when
I think
everything was.
Prospect has higher heights, I'm
Right.
off the top of my head.
I'd have to, now I'm starting to think we might be talking about the mixed-use pilot program.
Yeah,
So-
but Kitsap Street's not in the mixed-use pilot
Yeah,
program.
I'm not-
I think what Jerry's referring to is what we were just working on at the last meeting,
Yeah.
which is the design standards. Or maybe it was 2 meetings ago. They're all blurring together.
Had a work
The most
study.
recent project we were working on was the design standards. And what
right.
Mark's referring to is, which was the comment Councilmember Ashby made, was we had a term for the treatment
And I
of
was
the
here for
street
that.
that she said, I don't like this mixed, using the term mixed, because people will confuse it with mixed use, which is exactly what you're saying.
Right.
So that we changed that term when we finally adopted it to varied, the term varied, so that we could try to prevent that confusion.
Okay,
Yeah,
I believe
I'll
we're
keep
referring to
thinking
design
about it.
standards.
right.
okay.
The
thank-
zoning wasn't changed.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, we have no other citizens. I have nothing for the good of the order. I know that's lower at the agenda. We do have an executive session. We're going to start with 15 minutes. We will take no action afterwards. And we pursuant to RCW 40.30.110, we have potential litigation, and we also, I'm going to give you an update on collective bargaining. So we'll be at least 15 minutes, and I might need to extend, but we will take no action afterwards.
Bill, you can take a